But you got to be tough when surrounded by desire, because it's not enough just to stand outside the fire. We call them strong, those who can face the world alone, who seem to get by on their own, those who will never take the fall. Life is not tried, it is merely survived if you're standing outside the fire. One of the great poet laureates of our generation, named Garth Brooks, singing his song, Standing Outside the Fire. And, you know, most of my life leading up until episode 42, when I was terminated at DIC, I was just standing outside the fire, okay? You know, look, I worked really hard, but it wasn't a rough deal for me. I was born into a family that had clothing stores, so I went to work in the clothing stores, and I'm 25 years old, driving around Chicago in a Mercedes 450 SLC, living at Lake Point Tower on the 47th floor, writing my novel, sending it into Putnam's in a shirt box. It gets picked up. MGM buys the film rights, becomes a bestseller. I move out to LA, decide to move out to LA. Bang, get myself a job at Entrepreneur Magazine. Bang, get myself a job working at Blank Communication, writing for Armed Forces Radio and Television Service commercials. Bang, I get a job at DIC Entertainment. I'm a story editor. And I'm running through the raindrops. And, you know, it's really good to live outside the fire. But, you know, there comes a point you got to be inside the fire. And that's what happened when I got cut. You know, the money was one thing, but I think the hardest thing was to go from, you know, having all the other writers around, and we're just riffing off of each other, and having my writers call in for assignments, and I'm story editing everything, and I'm writing scripts, and you know, it was all just fantastic. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's like a steel curtain comes down. And you know, isolation, that's a really tough thing, let me tell you, okay? Because I know all about it. And when the phone's not ringing anymore, and you're sitting 6 and 8 and 10 hours a day by yourself, and you say something just to hear your voice, that's tough, okay? Look, the money, you know, I spent it, okay? Driving a BMW, living in a penthouse condominium in Studio City, California, and it was going as fast as I got it. And, you know, like I told you in the last episode, Andy Hayward was so gracious to get me an assignment for 4 or 5 of the Super Mario Brothers Super Shows episodes. And that was like a lifeline for me financially. Look, it was $3,000 an episode, you know, so I think I wrote 4 or 5 episodes of Super Mario Brothers, which I really loved. I enjoyed it. But okay, so it's $3,000 an episode times 5. That's $15,000. You know, you're living in LA, okay? So, you know, you're bleeding money, okay, just to survive. And lost my condo in short order. Had to move into an apartment in Glendale, California, out in the valley. And I'm home one night, and I get a phone call, and guy I don't even know, he says, is your license plate TV writer? I said, yeah. He says, well, a woman said that you had a fender bender with her, and I just want to get your address so that we can check it out and get rid of this case. I said, cut the crap. He says, what do you mean? I said, you're the repo man, okay? I said, you want my address so you can come and repossess my car, okay? I said, I know I'm 3 months over on the lease on it. I said, here's my address. And the guy was, I said, can I just clean out, my stuff out of my car, and then you come over and I'll leave the doors unlocked and the keys on the seat. And the guy was quiet for a second, and he said, he said, you're quite a guy. He says, I don't have this happen too often. People hide their car at their brother's garage, and I got to track them down. He says, I don't know, but there's something about you that tells me that you're different from most people. I said, well, thank you. I'm certainly different right now. And so, let me tell you, it's humbling when the Ralph's grocery store is 3 blocks away from your house and you have to walk over there because you don't have a car, and you buy groceries with what little money you've got, and you got to push that shopping cart back 3 blocks past people who are walking past you on the sidewalk, and you unload those groceries. It was humbling, okay? And what's the first thing that I do? I don't go out and get, drunk or, whatever, cry, get tears in my beer. Hell no. I throw a party for everybody that I know, okay? And maybe 50% of the people came to my new digs in Glendale, which certainly didn't compare to my penthouse in Studio City. And, a lot of them are offering their condolences and best wishes for the future. And there was a fella there named Dale Dye, D-Y-E. You can Google him. I think he's the president and CEO of Warriors Incorporated. And Dale, he's an amazing guy, okay? This is a fella that was an enlisted Marine during the Vietnam era, rose to become a captain in the Marines, and highly, highly decorated. He stayed in the Marines for 20, 25 years. And when he left, retired, he got so sick and tired of seeing war movies where they got everything wrong, the wrong insignias, the wrong way that they place things, the wrong vehicles, that he started a company called Warriors Incorporated. And he did military technical advising for war films so that everything would be exactly right. It's why I did 1,000 pages of research that I compiled on my historical novel, The Young Dragons. I wanted everything to be exactly right. And Dale created an incredibly successful company. He grew it and ended up being the military technical advisor for Platoon, Born on the 4th of July, Saving Private Ryan, The Pacific, Starship Troopers. When Oliver Stone took the Academy Award for Platoon, he looked into the camera and he said, let me tell you something. He said, Platoon would not be the film that it was if it wasn't for Dale Dye. And boy, that's a pretty high compliment coming from Oliver Stone, Wall Street, and many, many other films. And Dale was there, and he said, Jack, I'm so sorry to hear about what happened. I know you really loved your job and everything. And I said, well, let's not talk about that. I said, I know you're getting ready to leave on a shoot. I think he was going to do Platoon at the time, or Casualties of War. And I said, I just want you to know, brother, we're both servicemen, former servicemen. I said, I wish you the very best on the shoot. I said, I know you're going to just do great and you're going to knock him dead. And he kind of looked at me quizzically. I said, what's the matter? He said, I just don't get it. I said, here, you lost your job. You lost your condo. I know you lost your car. And you're wishing me the best. He says, I've got a good read on people. He said, you're just not blowing smoke towards me. He says, you really mean it. I said, well, of course I mean it. I said, what does your being successful have to do with me having a rough time now? I said, life isn't a zero-sum game. That's not how it works. And he said, you're some kind of guy. And I said, you know, that's the second time in a week that somebody's told me that. So that was nice. That boosted me up a little bit. A couple weeks later, I got a little lifeline. I got 2 videos, live action, that documentaries that I was going to write for a project called It's Okay to Say No to Drugs, and another one called Kids Have Rights Too. And I was drawn to it because the one for Kids Have Rights Too, what we decided was we were going to take over City Hall in downtown Los Angeles. They agreed to let us shoot there. We hired 100 kids, like ages 5 to 8, and we dressed them up in business suits and with briefcases. We had a little Asian girl that we named Lonnie Wong, and she had a headset on with a microphone. She was Channel 2 Kids Action News. And we set up a kids' rights convention in the City Hall, and they had placards from different states, and they were putting forth different platforms for children's rights, the rights to reject peer pressure, the right to privacy. And it was a successful video. And we also did It's Okay to Say No to Drugs, which I really enjoyed. It was very impactful. It was first time that I was directing second unit. I was doing the interviews with Christina Hodge from Head of the Class, Kim Fields from Room 222. And in fact, we won the American Video Conference Award for Children's Instruction for Kids Have Rights Too. So those were 2 things that I was really happy to be involved with. And I have to say, it paid well. It was like $9,500, so that was like a lifeline. But I went through, like, you know, you ever watch an old-time movie from the 40s, and they have something that's called a montage, and they'll show a calendar, and the months start dropping off of it, and then the years, and it's all in black and white. And that's what the next 2 or 3 years were like for me. I got a gig, interestingly enough, from Kevin O'Donnell. I'm sure Andy told him, see if you can get some work for Jack. And Kevin hired me to write a pilot episode for a game show for legendary game show producer Jay Reddick, who did Hollywood Squares. Great guy, also a surfer kind of dude. Kevin hired me for that, and I got paid a little bit of money for that. And I don't know how I got through those next 2 years, because it was really lean, okay? It was peanut butter and jelly and ramen soup time. And, you know, I told you, I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, this is the bad and the ugly. But don't feel sorry for me, because up until then, like I told you, I was driving a Mercedes. I went to Europe. I went on cruises, okay? The best wine. I really enjoyed myself. If I had it, I spent it. There's an old saying, and it's true. You don't regret the things that you do. You regret the things that you don't do, okay? So you don't have to feel sorry for him, but I kind of feel sorry for myself, because it was really a rough time. I mean, really a rough time. So I can't afford the rent at the apartment I'm in, so I moved out to a huge complex in Woodland Hills. And they happen to have a jacuzzi there. And I'm really hurting, okay? I got nothing coming in, man. And I'm laying in the jacuzzi, and my cell phone rings. That's where most of my money went to, was for the cell phone. And I answer it, and it's Mark Taylor. Mark was the CFO, Chief Financial Officer for John Shalapin and Andy Hayward at DIC. And he said something to me in the next 30 seconds that completely changed the trajectory of my career and my life. And you got to tune into the next episode to see exactly where it was. And you better subscribe, and you better like me, okay? All right, see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.